is the part 1 of my coloring series where I'll be using the color wheel to express the meaning behind the artwork I created. So let's get started with the first page. I'll be using this color wheel that I got off the internet and this box board sheet that you can get from any craft store. I'm going to place it behind the page that I'm going to be coloring. I know all the color influencers on this app swear by the Uhuhu markers, but I wanted to try a different medium for this, so I'll be using watercolor instead. It comes with this watercolor pen, the brush tip, and markers. I'll be using this color wheel as a guide to figure out what color to use to express certain emotion. Since this page is about Robert Johnson from the 1920s, I'm going to be using dark brown because I wanted to create like a sepia mode kind of image. And also this is from the 1920s when colored cameras weren't available. I'm going to be using watercolors as a base, as like a first layer. So the coat that the ghost of Robert Johnson is wearing is going to be dark brown. Same with the hat, because I want to express guilt or shame. According to this color wheel, purple is usually the color that you use to express those emotions. So I'm going to use purple as a second layer. I think we've all heard about the Robert Johnson legend. I first heard about it from the CW show Supernatural, if you have watched it. It had one episode called Crossroad Blues, where Robert Johnson references meeting the devil at the crossroads, how he made the deal with the devil to make him the greatest blues guitarist alive. In my head, again, this is my interpretation, I think making that deal made him guilty and ashamed, and I think purple would be a great color to express that. Pop culture, the devil is usually shown in red color, and according to the feelings wheel, it shows eagerness and energy. And I use red and some hues of orange and yellow as a highlight for coloring the devil. I'm going to be using dark maroon in the folds in the coat. I think adding orange and red is just going to make the red pop out even more. Some highlights with orange. And the second layer is also going to be red with the coat. I don't think I need to follow the feelings wheel to color the table, so I'm just going to go over with it with brown. I'm going to make sure to create shadows around the objects on the table. Guitar is symbolic for how being the best at it was what he wanted, that was his ambition, which was ultimately his downfall. The devil giving the guitar to Robert Johnson sort of symbolizes how this one thing that he wanted more than anything, like he will literally sell his soul for it, is the one thing that is going to be his downfall. So making a guitar out of bones just makes sense. I'll be using beige to color the bone. I mentioned in one of my other videos how I don't like to use white directly. I think the plates with fork and knife is very interesting. To me it symbolizes how the devil is literally going to eat away his soul, his food. I want this to feel like a conversation between the devil and Robert Johnson. I want you the three ghosts in the background. I think I want the ghosts to depict or symbolize fear. I think the emotion that the person is feeling right before they die sort of physically manifests itself as the ghost. In my head, when he died, I think he must have felt a lot of fear as his last emotion. So to me, the ghost has to be blue, because blue is the color most associated with depression or anxiety or fear. But since it's a ghost, ghosts are kind of lifeless, so I want the blue to be very like mixed with black or gray, like sort of like grayish blue. The violin just sounds like the instrument that you would play at the funeral. I depicted the ghosts playing the violin, and they're hanging by the neck. I don't need to explain what that would symbolize. To me, I created the clouds to sort of symbolize the afterlife. Cloudy, surreal kind of. Clouds, I think, should be like pale red, sort of like peach color, then pale orange and yellow to kind of give it like a pastel, very soft, very heaven-like feel, although that is interesting. We're talking about the devil. We're going to depict the sky as blue, obviously. Here's another interesting idea that we're going to try that a coloring TikToker suggested to me. I'm so sorry that I forgot your name. I have a heart shape. I'm going to go with star. I think it symbolizes ambition and being the best, which is what Robert Johnson wanted to be. Area around the star is going to be very dark, but inside the colors are going to be very light, pastel, to kind of symbolize like having a silver lining to all of this, because he did ended up being the greatest guitarist, like blues guitarist, which is what he wanted in the first place. So I guess there was something good that came out of it. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to color this sort of angel of death character. Since it's angel of death, of course, it's going to be depicted with black. But the first layer of watercolor is done, and now I'm going to use color pencil. This white pencil blender that I got, also use it to create highlights. And I'm just going to use markers to kind of outline all the things. I'm just using color pencil as a second layer to add depth to the colors, and just using yellow to kind of highlight the highlighted area. I use the white pencil blender to sort of outline the highlight to make them pop a little bit more. Almost just done. We're just gonna add some little finishing touches. This white pencil blender is game changer. I think it just really lifted up the entire page, Everything just sort of looks a bit vibrant now. Like the angel of death is waiting for Robert Johnson's soul in the background, The cloud. To use color pencil to add a little bit more depth and shadows where I think it's required. Just adding the outline around the star just to make it pop so it's more visible. And a white highlight around it, making sure everything looks nice and blend. And I think that is the first part done. This is going to be a 40-part series, so sure to follow if you want to see those.